From Holthouse, Carlin and Van Trite. Great to see you, Blake Christian.
Always a pleasure.
Now, we've heard a lot about cryptocurrency. People dabble in crypto, people make a lot of money in crypto, but what actually is cryptocurrency?
So crypto, it's important to understand what the underpinnings are of crypto. And so crypto is only made possible because of blockchain technology. And so blockchain technology is a system where supercomputers will sort out a code for a given token, if you will, that represents virtual currency. It's rather complicated, but in its easiest form, when somebody goes to cash in this virtual currency to make sure that it's valid, there's several steps that the blockchain process goes through, and it's not just one confirmation, it's multiple confirmations. So to put it in like credit card terms, instead of inserting your card for Amex and then it's pretty immediate, they cross-check it against Amex's database and they say, yeah, that's a good card, and they're paid up. Let's let that go through. They would send it to 6, 7, 10 different organizations and say, oh, do we have Blake Christian in our database, and does he hold a card that has that sequence of numbers? So anyway, it's a rather complicated process. What a lot of people don't realize is behind the scenes, and this is some of the pushback from the environmentalists, is it takes enormous amounts of energy, electricity to process this information, because these supercomputers are doing millions of computations to get to the proper code. And so they're and I'm actually working on some opportunity zone projects that involve solar and energy efficiency to do crypto mining. But a lot of people just don't they don't know that side of it, and that's why like Elon Musk ended up not accepting Bitcoin for payments, because he got a lot of pushback from the environmentalists, although I think I heard now that he is going to take it again, but I'm not sure.
What's the most widely used cryptocurrency?
By far, it's Bitcoin is kind of the gold standard, if you will. But there's a number of others. There's Ethereum, there's Ripple, there's kind of newer and maybe not as powerful Dogecoin. And now Bitcoin is somewhat unique in that they have a process that there's limited Bitcoin that will ever be issued. They have a fixed number of Bitcoin that will ever be issued. So naturally, with supply and demand, as more and more of these get processed, then there's less in the future that'll go out. So it shrinks the future supply, and so kind of automatically raises the price in theory. But it's the strange thing is it's not really backed by any gold standard or any government, and so you're really relying on the next I mean, you could argue it's a pyramid scheme. I was not a real fan of it, but the more I've researched, it's definitely here to stay. It's just a matter of which of these cryptocurrencies are going to be the long-term player. But Bitcoin is certainly the leader by a wide margin.
Two questions: how do they work, and then what are the advantages and the disadvantages for users?
Yeah, I mean, the disadvantage is, you just have tremendously wide fluctuations in prices. So Bitcoin, its overall trajectory for the last 4 years has been about a 600% increase in value. But if you were holding it at the wrong time, just this year you could have lost almost half your value over several weeks. So it's extremely volatile. And then like Dogecoin, it originally started off kind of as almost as a joke, and then got traction, and people kind of viewed it as another standard crypto. And so it's really, you're absolutely going to have some big winners and some big losers. And it's very hard to predict. Bitcoin will probably certainly be one of them standing long term, I'm sure. But you've also had, over the last 5+ years, you've had many situations where some cryptocurrency has come out. The founder has issued all these all this crypto, and then suddenly it goes poof, and everybody's money, and they keep it in a photo wallet, electronic wallet, and they go to check it, and it's gone. And whether that was pulled off by the founder promoter, or if it was just some legitimate hack, who knows? And then there's also been situations where people have had a couple of $1 million of Bitcoin, and they can't remember their password to, and I would be one of these guys. I've got so many passwords, it's like, what the heck is that? And they've lost their money because they can't remember their password.
So you can't reset your password. I forgot my password. Can you please reset it for me? You can't do that.
No.
That's disappointing.
I want to make sure, one of the things I love about the concept of cryptocurrency is probably one of the most irritating things, and I know the world traveler that you are, has to have the same point of view. Yeah, former. You're locked down now, but when you travel internationally, and every time you exchange currencies into the local currency, a lot of people just use their credit card to minimize this, but you're losing 6-8% of the value of your traded in currency. And so if you take US dollars to Australia, trade them in, and then before you go back, you trade them in, or when you get back, you trade them into US dollars, you probably lost 14-16% of the value of your currency. With crypto, you don't have that. You do have some transaction costs, but they're pretty minimal. And I like the fact that I think it does create a much more efficient way to deal with dollars worldwide.
Do we have any measures of the growing use of cryptocurrencies in the US economy, or how significant they are becoming?
I heard the other day, and I apologize that I didn't get a chance to confirm this, but I heard just within the last couple of days that one reporter said that 20%, and I thought this sounded extremely high, and I can't, and he wasn't clear whether it was in the U.S. or worldwide, that 20% of the financial transactions were done in crypto. Again, that sounds enormously high to me, but I know, and again, not research, but I want to say that the crypto that's outstanding is somewhere around $4 trillion. So it's a big number, but it's still not nearly as much as the government issued currencies.
Why is a digital US dollar under active consideration by the Feds or the Federal Reserve?
Well, China's doing the same thing, and I know a lot of governments are looking at this, and it's really, it's to counteract the cryptocurrencies. And I think it's overblown, but there's a feeling among government people as well as just individuals at large that crypto is this, has created this massive black market, underbelly that people are, not reporting transactions and things. The truth of it is, though, that there's more of a digital footprint on crypto than any transactions occurring with even checks and cash and things. So there may be some anonymity, anonymous element to to certain transactions, at least temporarily. But as we found out with this, with the Russian hackers that went into the pipeline system, the U.S. Treasury and CIA, FBI, I can't remember which agencies were involved, but they recaptured, about 2/3 of that ransom money, that ransomware money, because they were able to track down following the digital footprint. So that's kind of the big lie out there that they can't tell who's doing what. They can, but that's certainly in China. There's no doubt in my mind that they want to do that so that they can see what their citizens are doing. Their system's probably not as good to track that, but in the U.S., they can reconstruct all of this with a little bit of time. So I think it's just they're fearful that the U.S. dollar, which which pretty dominant currency worldwide, that we may lose our footing, and so there's this big battle between China and the U.S. to be the world currency, and they figure if they have a kind of a crypto, and it's really not a crypto, it's really just more of an electronic payment system. So that's a little bit of a misnomer that like the U.S. government's going to start issuing crypto.
Now, we've often had a conversation about the how well using the Blakeometer, how well Joe Biden is doing. Now, we've seen some marvelous events of the last few days. The calm withdrawal from Afghanistan, the handling of COVID. They're doing it's all very relaxed and just taking their time. The economy seems to be just it's the Biden the Biden administration is doing a wonderful job with the economy. So with all these catastrophes under Joe Biden, who is now having a lovely time at Camp David because he needs that break, even though he doesn't know he's having a break. So with the Blakeometer, out of 10, and just a quick reason why you've given him this mark out of 10, what would you give him if you were a teacher?
Your sarcasm comes through loud and clear.
Thank you.
I would actually, this week is horrifying. I would give him, so I'm gonna give him a grade for the week, and then I'm gonna give him a cumulative grade since January. So I'm gonna give him about a -5. I mean, this is just what's happened over the last week. With the Middle East and it's just, it was so predictable. He didn't listen to his generals, and it's I feel so sorry for all the Afghans that helped us over the last 20 years. I feel so sorry for all the military families that lost loved ones. And that's what I was explaining to my 16-year-old daughter, is that we just basically 20 years of effort is just down the drain. But again, I feel it's just must be horrifying for those people that are trapped over there, American citizens, Afghanis that have helped us for the last 2 decades, deal with the Taliban and things. Now we're just leaving them hanging. We're not going to be able to get them all out. regardless of what the president says. And he took very little responsibility. And I was very happy to see that both sides of the aisle annihilated him. That, I mean, he didn't have many supporters. So I'd give him a -5, and then, cumulatively, I'd give him, a 3.
Well, I think you're being generous.
Positive. I am being generous, because and I do want to make clear, I always support the the office of the presidency. He is my president, but I'm frustrated with him and much of the administration. Although I think a lot of the people in the administration are horrified what happened and didn't agree with him either.
It's really exciting for the rest of the world. He is the leader of the free world, which has got inverted commas around free at the moment. But I'd probably think a scarier scenario is if they decided to put him in the old people's home and to pretend to be president, and we have Kamala, and she pops up and says, that's a laugh, by the way, we're going to continue on under the Harris administration. Now, which is scarier? Joe walking around in circles, falling down stairs, not knowing what he's doing, but having a lovely time in his mind? Or do we have Kamala, who's probably would be the worst vice president one could ever have, and nobody likes it?
Yeah, I think the fact that her, approval rating is, pretty low, and she's got a lot of bad press about her staff complaining about, her style. I don't know, if they'll make that change, but I think as I think this is the beginning of the end of him. I mean, I think his presidency they'll always show, those big transport planes with Afghanis falling off them, thousands of people running along. It's just, it's Vietnam all over again. It's just terrible.
I think the first thing Joe Biden needs to do is to stop consulting with Major and let Major just be a dog. And then maybe he should have a nice long rest. Interesting though, because Kamala, she's there. She's the next president, whether you like it or not, and it's not a very good future for America or for the rest of the world in the next 3 years, 4 years. So anyway, another conversation, Blake, over a virtual scotch with you. Blake Christian.
Yeah, that may be all we can accomplish for the next year, the way that seem to be heading towards another lockdown. But yeah, let's do that next week. Let's pour a drink.
We'll have to make it a little bit later in the day for me, because it's around breakfast time. So
that's true.
The stories that I've been making up about myself, I don't actually drink at breakfast. Blake Christian, now if somebody wants to find out more about Holthouse, Carlin and Ventrite and yourself, how do they do that?
So our firm website is hcvt.com, and if you want to reach me in directly, just Google Blake Christian CPA, and all of my contact information, articles, and interviews will pop up.
Blake Christian, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. This was a great conversation. Appreciate it.